Hi everyone, this is Jim. About a year ago I did a video about how to use Go Review Partner, and since then, in the past year, they've made a lot of improvements to the program. So I thought I would do an update, cover what's been going on with Go Review Partner. And I hope to make this video self-contained, so you shouldn't need to refer to the previous video. I will try and include everything you need to know to get up and running with Go Review Partner. So the first thing I wanted to point out is that this is their new page. They were at a different location before, so this is how you get to their home page. And I'll have a pointer to this page in the description to this video. Now what Go Review Partner does is it goes through a game record. An SGF file is just a record of a game of Go, and it feeds it to a Go engine. Go Review Partner is not a Go engine. It's just using these free, publicly available Go engines, and then takes the output of these engines and creates an RSGF file from it. And then in a second phase, you get to step through that RSGF file. I suppose that stands for reviewed SGF file, and see what the Go engines would recommend at each stage. And it's a great way to point out or to find mistakes in your play, particularly in tactical situations. These Go engines are really good at that, but they're also good at direction of play. They have a pretty good positional sense these days as well. Now, Go Review Partner is written in Python, and it's completely free software. It's covered by the GNU GPL. So you can get the source code and look at it, and you can modify it if you want to, if you're interested in that. So they have good documentation. Here's the documentation page. There's a pointer to it from the front page. It starts with an outline. Everything is on one page, but with lots of links. So after the outline, just rolls right into the program, or to the documentation, which you can just read from the beginning if you want to, or you can go to particular topics. And then there's various ways to download the program. I used these Windows bundled downloads, but I did want to point out before we get to those that if you're on GNU Linux or on Mac OS, you need to get the Python source code from GitHub. And then these OSs, I think they come already with a Python interpreter, but if they don't, you need to download Python as well. But once you have Python on your machine, it just runs the source code directly. It's an interpreted language, so there's no need to go through a compile step. And in the documentation, there's information about how you configure it and how you point it to one of these Go engines. On Windows, it's simpler. You can just download a single bundle here, which includes Go Review Partner already configured to point to a Go engine, and it includes the engine as well. So that's the method I used. I wanted to point out one thing about the download before I go any further. When you download it, you're just copying it into your downloads directory, and then you extract it to some other directory. And they're recommending putting it in the documents or the desktop directory, which is fine. Just don't do what I did. I put it in the program files directory, and there's a problem with that, which is, when I put it in program files, I had to overwrite the, I had to take on administrator access to override the restrictions on the directory. So that went fine. But when I tried to run it, it would fail because it didn't have write access to the directory it was installed into. So you don't want to put it there. I actually created a directory called /go and put it there. So that's where it's installed on my machine, because I created the directory. I knew I had write access. But also your documents directory or your desktop directory would work fine as well. So let's go back to the front page here. There are there's multiple downloads. You can choose which Go engine you want to run. Each one of these downloads is configured just to run with one of these engines. If you download the Python code directly, you can configure that to run with multiple engines, which you would then download separately. And you can do that on Windows. If you already have a Python interpreter on Windows, or if you download a Python interpreter on Windows, you can do that. But just using these bundled downloads is probably the simplest way to get up and running. But the drawback is that each download is just pointing to a single engine. I'll show you how that works in a bit. Leela Zero is one of the new features of Go Review Partner. This wasn't available a year ago. So it's been developed, I guess, in the past year, or maybe, I think it was already being developed a year ago, but it's improved a lot and it's gotten quite strong. And it's using the same technology that AlphaGo Zero is using. So it learned how to play Go just from playing itself. It didn't have any human input. And so it gives it a kind of a different flavor and different style of play, and may be more correct. We don't know for sure at this point, but Leela Zero, or AlphaGo Zero at least, seems to be able to beat the strongest Go players, and Leela Zero plays in a very similar fashion. So to contrast these two, I think it makes sense to download both of them because Leela is it's a very versatile program. It deals with handicap games and games with different kinds of komi, and it also has a more human style. It knows about traditional josekis and will follow those through. So it's maybe easier to get used to. The moves that Leela Zero comes up with can be pretty strange at times. But it's nice to have both of them and actually contrast what's going on. Another thing I wanted to point out is that I'm downloading the CPU-only versions. That's because I don't have a particularly good graphics processor on my machine. If you have a good gaming machine, it probably has a GPU, which if it has OpenCL, then this version of Leela will take advantage of the GPU. And same with Leela Zero here. If you have a gaming engine and you download this version, it'll take advantage of the GPU and give you better results. I'm not sure if they make it run faster or if they make it run deeper, but in any case, it'll give you better results one way or another. So yeah, let's show how it works. So this is Go Review Partner. This is the one with Leela. And you'll see that it pops up a user interface here, and then it also has this. This is just the output of the Python interpreter, but it's handy. I mean, it doesn't do anything. You don't interact with this window. It's just an output window. You can look at it. It does report a warning about the WX-GUI library, but it runs just fine. And then what you do is you select one of your SGF files you've downloaded or maybe created on your own machine. If you have an SGF editor, you can also play through a game and then save it, and that'll another way to create an SGF file. And then you run it in batch mode. Say, click on that button. Here I have all these games I've saved. Here's some games I played in a tournament. You can click on one of these games, and then you can tell it which bot to use. So this already came configured with Leela. And then you can tell it whether to analyze all the moves or only a certain range of moves. You can analyze one color or both. You can update the value of the komi. You can stop when the bot resigns, or you can let it keep running. I just usually let it keep running and analyze all the moves, and I just go away. It takes about an hour for a game of that length, which is pretty typical. And then afterwards, you can take a look at it. What it does is it creates a file called an RSGF file, and this has all of the information that it created by analyzing that game. So here's one. This is a game I lost where, I've had a number of losses recently where I've just not been doing well in the fighting, and let's see, I guess about here. So you can look at the game. There's this graphs button here. You can get an overview of the game, and you can look at different graphs. This is the win rate graph. You can see what happened. I was black, and I was playing okay. In fact, I seem to be sort of slowly improving through here. This is Leela's estimation of my probability of winning, and then I got into this fight, and it went downhill as I lost the fight, and then my probability of winning pretty much disappeared. So you can also look at other things. Look at black win rate delta. So these red bars are my mistakes. These are places where the difference between my move and the move that the engine would have played has resulted in a disadvantage to me. And so you can concentrate on these moves if you want to. And if you click on this menu here, and then you look at, or this window, and then you look back at this window, you can see it takes you to that point in the game. And let's see, we can back up. Oh, let's see, I played at D10 here, it looks like. Black win probability. Before D10, I had a 66% probability of winning, and after D10, I had a 52% probability of winning. And over on this side, you can see where the chess or the Go engine would have played as black, and you see it chose with high probability. In fact, normally, let's go on to a more typical position. Say here, yeah, this is more typical. Here I played over here at that position, and you can see that was one of the alternatives. That was actually the third choice. But here's a typical kind of position where there's a bunch of different moves that you can play, and they're ranked in alphabetical order. So that's the first choice is A, second choice is B, third choice is C. I don't know if you can see it in the video here, but C is in black and the others are in blue. So that indicates, if you're just looking at this screen over here, or this board over here, that's the move that I actually played. There's different kinds of maps also. I thought they added a heat map. This is another one of the new features. So you can show the heat map here, and what it does is it shows the hot squares on the board, and so it kind of is giving a visual impression of where the most interesting areas to play are. And you can see the deeper the red is, the hotter it is. So there's a hot area over here, and there's a hot area over here. It's only showing while I'm holding down this button. That's why I have to release it to come over here. But also there's some possibility of playing over in this area as well. And then there's also an influence map. So Leela and Leela Zero, I think, are the only engines that produce these maps. But this shows the area that black has influence and white has influence. So I think both of these are pretty interesting. You can step through the game and check out how they look at various points. So that's what you can do with the game. If you have a question about a particular point in the game, let's see. Well, let's go back to the graph. Where was the graph? Here it is. Let's go back to here. Let's go back to just the pure win rate, so it's a little easier for me to understand what's going on here. It looks like this was like my last chance to win here. So let's go up to my final, or at least to have an even game. Let's see if we step forward to this move. So at this move, if I had played the right move here, I would still be with a 40% chance of winning. But after that, I'm out of the picture. So let's go back to this window and see where we are. So yeah, I had a 37 or 38% chance of winning before the move, and after the move I was down to 9%, and it just went downhill from there. So let's see where they wanted me to play. Here's where I played, and that's how the moves continued, and they want me to play over here. So let me explain a little bit about what's going on here. I guess I can do it on this board. There's this group of stones. I'm black, and there's this group of stones which is almost surrounded. Well, it is surrounded at this point. And my attempt to break out up here has failed, and I'm going to lose this group and lose the game. So this is a critical point, but I still have apparently a good move here at A, which allows me to get some fighting chances. It looks like I can break out in this direction after A. So it looks like a cut here followed by a cut over here, or an Atari over here. So how would that play out? As I highlight here, let's see, I can back up. You can scroll the mouse wheel and have this play out move by move. So move 1 is I cut here at B5, and then white responds, and then I hane here, or Atari that stone. So, okay, I have to not move the mouse here. Let's back up. So move 1, move 2, move 3. So now white has to take, and then I expand in this direction. And this looks pretty good, because now it looks like those two stones at C8 and D8 are getting captured, and that means that my group is going to live. So that's the idea here. And so let's back up. So that's what you can do, is scroll through and see how these variations play out. Or if you're good at reading the numbers, you can just roll over that with your mouse and see how it goes. But it looks like I just win by or not win, but I save those stones by attacking these two and capturing them, and that saves this group, gives me a fighting chance in the game. But another thing you can do here in the analysis, let's click here. Yeah, you can select Go engine, a bot they call it, and then you can choose an action. So it's black's turn to move. You can tell it to play a move, and now it will think. This board will highlight. It'll get red for about 10 seconds. That's about how long it takes to think, and then it will play a move. So say you had a question, okay, I can cut here, but what if white doesn't respond with the Atari? What if white plays here instead? So you can pose that kind of question and say, okay, what should I do about that? And then it'll go away and think for another 10 seconds, and then maybe it'll find some clever response to that. Yeah, so it says, well, you should attack and capture this stone, and now you're going after the corner. So if white defends these stones, you go after the corner. If white defends the corner, you go after these stones. And that's how you get out of your quandary. Anyway, that kind of question and answer session, I think, can be very handy. One more thing I wanted to show you. Let's close this one. Let's exit. And when you exit, it actually has a nice exit screen that lists the contributors and gives you ways to get in touch with Go Review Partner and maybe help them out. And then this screen doesn't go away. You have to kill it separately. What I wanted to do was compare that with Leela Zero here. So it comes up looking exactly the same. The only difference is that it's a different engine. And I created an RSGF file using Leela Zero. We can look at the same one. And it also has the heat maps and things like that. But the graphs look a little different. It actually seems more severe. It seems like the drop-off is much more radical. And in fact, in those moves, this is the same point that we just looked at in the previous one. This is the same game. It's this point where I played at A here instead of playing at there. Where I played at, what is that square? I played at C7 instead of playing at B5. In this one, Leela Zero actually thinks I still have a winning chance if I play the right move there. Let's see what it says. Yes, in the value network, I had still a 67% chance of winning, and afterwards I had only 1% chance of winning. So Leela Zero is much more definite in its opinions. It's got bigger swings, and it can sometimes give an answer that's different than what Leela thinks. Here it thinks that I still have a good chance of winning, 2/3 chance of winning, whereas Leela thought that I was losing at that point. So anyway, if you're interested in what different robots think about different situations, you can do that. And then there was one last thing I wanted to show you. There is this feature called Run Live Analysis. So I want to do this with both of them. Let's move this one to the side. Let's run Go Review Partner. I want to compare the two Go engines kind of side by side here. Sorry, well, there's a settings menu there too, which lets you set a bunch of parameters. I didn't talk about that in this. I'm not going to talk about that in this video. What I wanted to talk about is this button here, Run a Live Analysis. So let's set it up for Go Review Partner Leela and start. And so we're going to do a live analysis. We're just going to take this game, and you can start with having two human players play. Just go, let's see, black goes here, white goes here, say, black goes here, white goes here, black approaches, white backs off, and now it's black's move. And you say, I want to ask the Go engine what move it would make in this position. So you can just say, play one move. And it will think for a while and then play a move. And this was already in its book, I guess, because it played that move very quickly. And you'll see it's doing a kind of normal Joseki there, where it goes into the corner. And we can play a couple moves ahead. Let's play another move for white. Yeah, it's just going through a normal Joseki. And there, and then at some point it may pause to think. And it's splitting over here. So that's how Leela would play that position. And now we could do the same thing with Leela Zero. Run a live analysis. Two human players. You can choose the bots to run as well as or humans. But I'm doing this with humans to get the setup that I want. You'll notice right away that Leela Zero is slower. This may be better for you if you have a GPU. You may be able to get a better result, but it's pretty slow for me. But anyway, I'm going to do the same thing. Black here, white here, black here, white here, black approaches, white backs off, and now it's black's turn to move, and I'm going to ask black where it should play. So I'm going to select Leela Zero Fast Profile. Notice that this is not yet highlighted. It's actually loading up the engine. You can't click on this just yet, but if you wait a little bit and not responding, it'll eventually come up. Yeah, okay, so now it's there. So yeah, you just have to wait longer for Leela Zero, and you ask it to play one move. And now it's going to think for a long time here. I think its target is to do it in 10 seconds, but I don't think it's successful. And it seems to be going in the background and analyzing, starting at move 1 or 2. It seems to be going through the game in order, but it will actually show a move before this gets up to move. Before this gets up to move 7, it will show a selection. And there it made a move. And you see that its choice was different. In this position, Leela just dived into the corner using just standard knowledge. This is how you play this position. Here, Leela Zero showed the AlphaGo style move, the AlphaGo Zero move of playing the 3-3 point. So you can see the difference between the two bots right there. Like I said, it's slower, but maybe if you have a GPU, you can make it faster. Also, if you're just going to run the analysis overnight, when I did the analysis on a full game, Leela took about 1 hour and Leela Zero took about 4 hours. So that's on my machine, just using the CPU. But that's my experience with it. And I might do another video about those 2 games that I lost recently and some of the things I discovered using these. But that's it for this video. So, I encourage you to go out and experiment with this and have fun. I'll see you later. Bye.